Welcome to Iraqi Dinar, where we focus on facts over hype and clarity over speculation. What is unfolding right now across Iraq, Vietnam, and the wider geopolitical arena is layered, complex, and far more significant than surface headlines suggest. Individually, this week's developments may appear routine. Taken together, they form a broader pattern that serious economic observers are watching very closely. Let's begin in Southeast Asia. Recent reports indicate that Vietnam has entered a more intense phase of internal financial restructuring. The government is reviewing major infrastructure spending, identifying areas of inefficiency, and, most notably, tightening control over the circulation of its national currency, the Vietnamese dong. When a government deliberately manages the volume of currency in circulation, it is rarely random. Such actions typically signal one of three things: an effort to reduce inflationary pressure, preparation for redenomination or revaluation, or alignment with international monetary standards. Each possibility carries different implications, but collectively they suggest strategic reform rather than reactive crisis management. Some analysts have raised the question of whether Vietnam and Iraq may be operating on parallel reform timelines. It is important to approach that claim carefully. There is no confirmed evidence of coordinated monetary action. What is factual is that both countries are engaged in documented financial reforms and both operate under varying degrees of international institutional observation. Historically, organizations such as the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the Bank for International Settlements have provided frameworks through which multiple nations aligned aspects of monetary policy. Whether anything similar is occurring now remains unconfirmed. Turning to Washington, the United States government issued a formal statement this week reaffirming its commitment to use all available tools to counter what it described as Iran's destabilizing influence in Iraq. That phrase is not casual diplomatic language. Historically, it has signaled the potential use of financial sanctions, targeted restrictions, diplomatic pressure, and other policy instruments. Multiple major outlets released nearly identical language simultaneously, a pattern typically associated with coordinated messaging. In diplomatic communication, repetition across platforms is intentional. It signals unity and resolve. Iran's influence within Iraq's political system has been widely documented. That influence intersects directly with Iraq's institutional reform process. When political environments are complex or externally pressured, it can affect the timing and execution of economic reform, not necessarily stopping it, but complicating it. The Central Bank of Iraq has consistently emphasized macroeconomic stability as a prerequisite for major monetary adjustments. Stability means predictable governance, manageable external pressure, and a political environment conducive to long-term planning. Changes in political dynamics, especially if external influence is reduced, can alter the conditions under which the central bank operates. That does not automatically translate into a specific policy outcome, but it changes the institutional landscape. Another notable feature of this week has been silence. There have been no dramatic public announcements from Baghdad's financial authorities. Some interpret this as stagnation. Others see it as controlled information management. Historically, significant exchange rate adjustments or currency reforms are executed with minimal public runway. Advance signaling creates opportunities for speculation that can destabilize markets. For that reason, information control is often part of responsible monetary execution. The absence of public signals does not prove that reform is imminent, but it is consistent with how major monetary events have unfolded in various countries. There has also been widespread discussion regarding Ramadan and the assumption that major financial decisions cannot occur during the holy month. Historical precedent challenges that assumption. In 1991, Kuwait implemented a significant currency revaluation during Ramadan. That example does not predict anything about Iraq's current situation, but it demonstrates that Ramadan does not automatically suspend monetary policy action. Domestically, political attention has centered on former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. Reports suggest he has been working to maintain or expand political influence. His historical alignment with Iranian interests places him at the intersection of this week's diplomatic and political developments. If coalition alignments shift within Iraq's parliament, the downstream effect could influence institutional stability, and by extension, the environment for economic reform. Iraq's economic structure remains heavily dependent on oil revenues. Global price movements directly impact fiscal capacity, foreign reserves, and exchange rate management. Production decisions by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and global demand fluctuations feed directly into Iraq's financial calculations. No oil-dependent economy can pursue monetary reform in isolation from energy markets. The IMF continues to engage with Iraq on fiscal and monetary frameworks. Constructive engagement strengthens a country's credibility within international financial systems and can improve access to external support mechanisms. Meanwhile, another wave of reports has circulated within online communities regarding so-called redemption centers and alleged scheduling preparations. These claims typically originate from informal contact chains rather than verifiable institutional channels. Historically, such reports have shown a low correlation with confirmed outcomes. Responsible analysis requires noting them, but also clearly distinguishing between unofficial sourcing and formal confirmation from licensed financial institutes or central banks. Stepping back, several themes define this week's landscape. Iraq's integration into international financial systems is real and ongoing. That process is influenced by political stability, geopolitical pressure, fiscal realities, and institutional development. Vietnam's restructuring is real. U.S. diplomatic positioning is real. Iraqi political maneuvering is real. Oil market volatility is real. What these variables ultimately produce, and when, remains uncertain. As this reporting cycle closes, the picture is one of movement across multiple dimensions: diplomatic, political, economic, and institutional. That does not constitute a forecast. It reflects a complex environment in motion. Iraqi Dinar will continue to track these developments with the same commitment to factual clarity, verified sourcing, and disciplined analysis, because in the world of currency reform, accuracy is the most valuable asset of all.